Jeez. Today, we will be going over the top questions about life from ChatGPT. As you can tell, I feel terrible. I went to the doctor this morning, tested positive for flu A, 103 fever, so I'm not gonna test training today, also because it's legs, so it's like if I go in there and wreck my immune system to the ultimate level, I'm not a fan. Usually I would push it to go train, but I was shaking earlier, and I don't feel like training in that environment. And that's a good piece of advice for you to take away is when you are sick, you should focus on just getting better and then getting back to training, because I would say even 100% of the time you train when you're sick, your performance is gonna drop. It's just gonna be a unproductive session. So just take the time off, heal up, take your ibuprofen, eat your soup, whatever it is you do, and then just get back into the gym so you can go full force. I'm usually like never sick. Oh, my other nipple showing. I'm usually like never sick. Like I used to get sick a lot when I was younger, and I have like I have really bad allergies as well, and that used to mess with me a lot. But ever since I started like losing weight and eating healthy and all that jazz, I really don't get sick a lot. But I guess when I do, it really throws it in my face. So no training today, also off work, so that's good. At least I didn't wake up with work and all the symptoms, because I'm not a fan of calling in and whatnot. But today we are going to have a little bit of a live talk, I guess, and answer ChatGPT questions about life. I guess I'm going to ask it like top 10 questions about life in general or something like that. And then I'm going to give an honest, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Holy shit, I'm blanking. Philosophical answer. I'm going to try and give some philosophical answers for you to think of. And let me know in the comments what y'all would say about some of these questions that I'm about to yap off to you. All right, I changed my mind. I'm going to do 5 questions, because I feel like if I do 10, if I go on a tangent on half of them, this video will be way too long. So give me 5 deep questions about life to answer. So the first question is, what is a true meaning of happiness? I'm sure we could have guessed that's the first question. What is a true meaning of happiness, and how can we find it in a world filled with distractions and struggles? That's so tough. There's no universal answer to like that question, because it varies so much from person to person. Because like one person's version of happiness could be a lot of money. One could be like my grandpa, for example. We talked about this yesterday, actually. His is like helping his family. Like that's what happiness is to him. And so that question varies so much. But honestly, I don't think there is a true meaning of happiness. I think happiness is something you feel. What is the true meaning of happiness, and how can we find it in a world filled with distractions and struggles? I think happiness could be the thing that brings you joy and makes your life just light up in times of distraction and struggle. So like it could be like meaning of happiness, man. Like it's like that could be a thing. It could be a feeling. It could be an event. It could be a possession you get. It could be a lot of things. But honestly, I think there's not a true meaning. There's just different variations of happiness, I guess you could say. Oh God, the train. I think that's the answer. Honestly, it's like it could be. I think it's what brings you joy. And I guess you could even go deeper and say, well, what is joy? Just what lights your world up, what makes the world seem a little better in times of, and it can be not in times of distraction and struggle and hard times, but like just something that brings you happiness. Like you're just content with life, and anything that goes on around you couldn't affect the way you feel right now, because this one thing you either have or you're doing or you're a part of or whatever. So I think that's my half answer, half non-answer to the first question. Ooh, this is a good one. Do we have free will, or are our choices and actions determined by factors beyond our control, such as genetics, environment, and upbringing? Man, this is another really good one. I think everybody, to some certain extent, has free will, no matter what. Like, you have the free will. Like, you literally can do anything you want to, like, physically. Like, obviously, you can't just go out and, like, get $1 million if you're a homeless person. Like, you can't just do that. But you have the free will to do whatever you want to, technically. Genetics, environment, and upbringing may sway you, like, one way or another. But at the end of the day, I still think that you, as a human, have complete control over your free will and what you do with it. So, like, you can have a bad upbringing, right? And you have the free will to either, like, I guess I don't like talking about having a bad upbringing because I have had a good upbringing. So kind of like talking on a topic that I am not familiar with, I feel like is kind of wrong with me because I don't know how that would go. So let's say, for example, I've had a good upbringing and I have had amazing people around me, family-wise, like environment-wise. And so you can either have the free will to either act on that and continue that through your the next generation, or you have the free will to just be like, I've had it pretty good growing up. I think it should just always be good for me, so I don't have to work hard, or I don't have to try and continue that good environment through like my next generation, right? So I think we do have free will. I think genetics, environment, and upbringing have an effect on that. But I think at the end of the day, you possess what you do, and you possess the energy and effort of what you do. No one else does. Even if you're in a shitty environment, I already said I don't want to talk on having a bad environment, but like, if you are in a bad situation, you still have the free will to, and the ability to be a good person and to work hard at your job. If you are in a financially bad spot, you have the free will to work hard and get a promotion, or go to college to get a certain job, to get a better pay. Now it's like, you also have to think about it like, some people literally don't. Like, there's some people in the world that just do not have any choice, which is, it kind of almost backfires on my point. Is like, some people really do have no choice of what they do when it comes to their choices and actions, because they're just either financially not there, they're like, maybe have someone over them that controls what they do. It's that's kind of a situational thing, but like, at the end of the day, that person that maybe has someone over them, they still have the free will to not do what that person's telling them, which may result in a bad consequence, but like, they still have the free will to do what they want, technically. So I guess that's the answer for that one. We all have free will. Genetics and environment and upbringing have a persuasion, I guess you could say, on how you act. But in the grand scheme of things, we all have free will to do whatever it is we would like to do with our energy, I guess. Is there a universal purpose to life, or is each individual responsible for creating their own purpose and meaning? I think every person, big or small, important, unimportant, all have had a purpose created for them by God and the Holy Spirit and all that. I think we all have some sort of little purpose in the game of life, whether however big it may be, however small it may be. I think each person has a story that was written for them, and the work and the discipline and the consistency that you put in is you fulfilling that purpose. So, I think all humans were created with some sort of reasoning for why they're here, and everybody plays some role in this game of life. Kind of like, it could be as small as you being, the most consistent smiler at someone, and you affect, and that could affect like thousands of people. It can be as small as that. It can be like, I don't know, being the best janitor ever, which is like like that seems like unfulfilling, but like that could be, you could look at life like that, like I'm gonna be the best blank I can be, and that could be your purpose. I think that once you find what you think your purpose is, it like clicks, and you feel good doing it. You're able to help people doing it. You're able to like contribute in a society doing it, and it maybe it can bring you money or respect or something like that. So like I feel like once you find that purpose that I think every individual is given, you kind of know. And some people, it may take a few tries. You think you may know, I guess. Like for example, like who knows? Like I want to do the whole personal training thing and like online coaching, or transfer some of my clients to online coaching and be able to take my work wherever I want to go and have money that like can aid in like what I want to do with bodybuilding, right? And that's kind of my goal. And essentially that comes down to helping people. And that may be my what I think my purpose is now. But I'm just 19. So like my purpose could switch with what stage of life I'm in. I feel like, like my purpose, I may think my purpose is that now, but in 10 years, a year, 5 years, it could change. So I feel like your purpose could switch with what section of your life you're in. But I think at the core of it all is like our main purpose. So like that could be, like you could take the core purpose of helping people, and it could be, maybe for me it's while I'm 19 through my young 20s, maybe it's training people and helping people physically. And then when I get older, I may switch my career of interest may switch to maybe being like, I don't know, a doctor, or maybe being like a psychologist. It could, but with both of those things, at the core root of it is helping people. So I think that, and I feel like some people can have like duplicate purposes. Like I feel like everybody has a purpose, not necessarily saying that every individual of the 8 billion people we have in the world have a different purpose than the other. There could be like duplicate purposes, but I feel like everybody at some level has a purpose to fulfill in life. And it can be hard. Like I went through that after high school. I kind of like counted on my dad to get me a job with like a company, and that I didn't want to do, and I was just saying yes because it was a job, and wasn't going to college, and I felt like I had no purpose. Like I was just going to do that job, and I was just going to work on the railroad, and Jesus Christ, like I had no idea what was about it or what it entailed. And so I know a lot of people get thrown into a job like that, and that's why they feel like they had no purpose when they're old and they're working an office job they hate. They hate their coworkers, they hate the environment, they hate the building, they hate the drive, they hate everything about it. It's because they don't feel that there's a purpose to them being there. And I kind of realized, like, right when I graduated, I was like, I don't feel like I have any, like I don't know anything. I'm not like a man's man. Like maybe some of y'all watch Fuad's podcast. How him and James are like, well, we're not really man's man. If we got something to fix, we're probably gonna call someone. And like Samson is always like, well, I'm the man's man. But like me personally, I wasn't really raised with a guy in the house. So like a lot of those things I just don't know. So it's like, what am I gonna offer to a company or to a business that is worth any good if I've never like dealt with man things and like working a job like that? So I was just like, I really don't like want to do this. And so I've taken it upon myself to kind of chase what I think my purpose is and what I get joy doing. And I know not everyone gets that choice, but like earlier, you have the free will to kind of work that job you hate or not. Like it may put you in a financial spot. You may have to work it for a certain amount of time, or get through a rough time working that job that you hate. But like in the grand scheme of it all, I feel like you need to pursue what you think your passion is, because what you're passionate about is what you will enjoy doing. What you enjoy doing is what you will be adherent to, I feel like, for a longer period of time. You could use that same principle with dieting, training, anything. what you enjoy and what you feel purpose and meaning in is what you will adhere to for longer. That's why like a part of my course is like client adherence, because like if you start something and you don't enjoy it and you don't stick with it, then what's the point in starting it? You need to start something and get into something that you enjoy, that you feel purpose and meaning in, and what you think is your purpose in life, and in that you will adhere to it longer. So that's another tangent I could go on, is like whenever you pick a diet, pick a training split. If push-pull legs, for example, you have a lot of fun on, and you switch up what you do every once in a while, and in the workouts, and you really enjoy it, and you're making progress, stick to it. If you see someone say upper lower is better, or bro split, but you enjoy push-pull legs, tell them to shut up. What you enjoy is what you should do. You know, for example, if I didn't enjoy the split I was on, I'd be like, coach, like these workouts are kind of stupid. Like if I don't feel like I'm gaining much, I would tell him. And you have to speak up and you have to make those changes so you can enjoy what you're doing, so you'll adhere to it for longer. Because it's gotta play the long game, you know what I mean? Because like good results in anything, I'm kind of going on a tangent, whatever, but good results from things take time and consistency at that thing. You can't just be consistent for a year and be like, bro, why am I not an Olympian? You can't just invest money correctly for a year and be like, bro, why am I not a millionaire? Things take adherence for a long time with a lot of intent with those actions. So that's my little tangent branch off of question 3 and on to question 4. How does the concept of time shape our understanding of existence? And what happens to our perception of time as we grow older or undergo life-changing experiences? The concept of time when we're kids is we got all the time in the world, right? Or when you're younger. And then I guess you realize how much time has to go into things for them to work. And then you realize you don't have a lot of time, because things that like are great, like I said, take a lot of time. So in the grand scheme of things, if great things, let's say for an arbitrary number, great things always took 10 years. That means you're only ever going to have, on an estimate, 7 great things happen in your life, like 70 years old-ish. So like, I guess the older you get, the realization of how little time you have, because how much time it takes to put into something is a factor. You begin to realize like you don't got a lot of time. And like in the grand scheme of things, when you think about it, hold on, I gotta get another drink. Ugh. I guess like when you look at things in the grand scheme of it, you know, an average person, like an average healthy person, let's say, lives 70, if they're lucky, I guess, 80 years old. And in the grand scheme of it, it's like that is such a small amount of time. You know, like trees have been around hundreds, some, I'm sure, thousands of years. You know, the grass we walk on is going to outlive us. The everything around us is more likely to outlive us, is likely to outlive us. Like, that's a crazy thought to think of. And it's like, I guess the more mature and the older you get, the more perspective you get on time, because like, you're like, shit, I just spent the first 18 years of my life, 18, that's like a fourth of your life getting through school. Or I guess, wait, you start school at like what, 4 or 5? So maybe like 13 years, whatever. And you realize like, that's a big chunk of your life. And if you live a semi-good life, you know, you've only got like 8, 7 of those little blocks in your life. And so I guess just as you undergo life-changing experiences and as you get older, you gain more perspective on how little time you have, which like directly influences maybe how hard you'll work, or or if it doesn't, it should. Like if you realize how little time you have, and that doesn't like 2 trains, oh geez, if that doesn't inspire you to like work harder in some form or fashion, that's crazy to me. Because like, if you're older and you think I got all the time in the world, it's like, dog, No, you don't. If you're the 20, like I'm turning 20 this year, right? I've had this thought a couple times. I turned 20 this year. If I live a good life, on average, like I have pretty good health, and I hope I live 80 to 90 or older. That'd be awesome. But it's like, on average, if I live to be 80, and that's like a good age on average, and I'm 20, a fourth of my life is done, gone. When you put it in that perspective, it's your perception of time immediately changes. And you can use that, like I said just now, as a form of motivation to be like, damn, I gotta work hard. Like, I don't got time to mess around. Like, I have to achieve great things in this time I'm given while, still enjoying your life and not, hating your life. And, that's another tangent, is like, balancing working hard with enjoying life, which, some people get enjoyment from working hard. So like, there's also that, but that can lead to like chronic overworking, which is, whatever. But like, I guess just as the older you get, the more you realize there's not a lot of time in general. Like, you may go through periods of life where a day feels like a week, or a week feels like a year, but like, you're gonna get through those. We get through everything, right? The time will pass. You'll get through what you're going through. If you're going through something right now, you're gonna get through it. You will end up on the other side a better person. But when you look at it, you'll get to the other side no matter what. And then you'll look back and it's like, oh shit, a year's passed, another year, wow. And time just flies. Whenever, if you have like your head down and you're grinding, or you're working on something, or you're in school or something like that, time will fly. And then you'll blink and you're dead. We're all gonna die. And that's another tangent. I was reading a book, talked about this and death. And after I rant about this, I'll go to the next question, I promise. But it was talking about how death is inevitable, obviously. And after reading that chapter, I was like, death can bring peace to the present, because in the grand scheme of things, we're all gonna die. If someone's making fun of you or someone's being a dick to you, who cares? We're all gonna die. That's all right. They may have something wrong with them internally. Give them a break. We're all gonna die. It's fine. And I know that's like kind of like depressing, but it's like, knowing death is inevitable and it'll come at some point for all of us, it brings peace to the present, knowing that life will go on and we're all going to pass away at some point. So it's like, why even stress about this? Like, an example that guy gave, the book's called The Subtle Art of Not Giving an F, if you want to read it. It's a pretty good book. It's like, oh no, what was I going to say? No. Death is inevitable. No, I forgot what I was going to say. Man, I had a really good point I wanted to make. What was I going to say? I guess to wrap this question up and move on to the fifth one and last one, death is inevitable, but accepting that brings peace to your present, because like, in the grand scheme of it, who cares? Oh, I know what I was going to say. Thank God. If you were on your deathbed, so you could use death as another like factor in your decision making. If you were on your deathbed, would you be worrying about what you're worrying about right now? Would you look at yourself and be like, why are you worrying about that? I know it's hard to talk about how you should act in a certain situation. It's hard to act like that in the situation. Like, if you're getting made fun of and bullied and there's a big group of people making fun of you, let's say, it's hard to like pull yourself out of it and be like, should I care about this? It's more of like, you have instincts and that's how you act upon things that happen to you or whatever. But I think probably the older you get and the more you try at that thing, like trying to pull yourself out of something and like just taking a step back in general and questioning whether you should give a shit about what's happening or not. And I think just the older you get, the better you get about doing that. And then the more you realize, the least you should care, the how little you should care about some things that you currently right now care, you give a fuck about way too much. You know, like that guy says, you know, excuse my language, you only have a limited amount of fucks to give. Because if you give a bunch of fucks, each fuck means a little bit less. You know, each one, it like dilutes it. You know, if I've got, you know, it's like use a stock market reference or, yeah. If I have 1,000 shares of Google and then it gets divided into fifths and now I've got 5,000, each one of those shares is now even less money. I may have more, but the value of each one decreased by a lot. You know what I mean? So it's like you can only care about so many things. And when you care about too many, the value of each care decreases. So when you look at death and you realize that not all things require your full effort and attention, you're able to pick out what you care about and utilize the time you have before you die. So I guess that's my take on death, time, death, time, and our perception of it. So question 4, that was it. Now on to the last question, question 5. All right, before we get on to question 5, alrighty, well, that's done with. What is the role of suffering in life, and can it be seen as a necessary part of growth and Yes. Yes. The rest of the question is, or is it merely an unfortunate consequence of existence? I think the way you view that is simply a reflection of your perspective on it. If you're the kind of person that looks at bad times or suffering as poor me, why me, then your perception of suffering is going to be that second one. Like, I just have to exist in this god-awful world and, man, why me? That's one perspective of it. Or you use the correct, in my opinion, way of looking at suffering or suffering, bad times, all that can kind of like tie together, right? You have to look at suffering you have to look at it as this is necessary for growth and transformation, because like, if you don't suffer, in a lot of cases, if you don't suffer at some point, you're probably not sacrificing enough to suffer. So therefore, if you are sacrificing enough, you will eventually suffer something. But from that suffering, you grow as a person within your journey or whatever. It's like, I completely believe that, and you don't have to like sulk in your suffering, like, yeah, I'm suffering, yeah, go me, I'm suffering. Like, you don't have to embrace suffering. Like, that's kind of dumb. But like, you know, for example, like in a prep for bodybuilding, you gotta embrace the suck. You know, like they say, you have to embrace that because that is what is transforming your body. Like, I feel like you can use it in a simplistic form like that. Like, you've got to suffer a little bit of hungriness. You have to suffer to lose the weight, or you've got to suffer the absence of parties and social life to get ahead. Like, if you're younger, to get ahead in life, financially or like spiritually or whatever. Like, you have to, in every want to get more, there is a certain amount of suffering that you're going to have to endure to get that. I don't think there's many things in life that you can just not have to go through some hard times to get. Like, I don't think life's that easy. And it shouldn't be. Because when you do suffer and you do have these hard times, it makes the good times feel even better. I hear a lot of bodybuilders talk like that. Like, I think you may watch Fit Nation podcast. Shouts out Beatty. Love that guy. There's a point he made. There's a point that they bring up quite a bit that he always restates. It's like, you know, if you didn't, what am I trying to say? Suffering makes the good times good. If you had no bad times, good times will not be good. They'd just be times. So it's like suffering gives good times purpose because it gives the differentiation between good and bad. If there was no suffering, there wouldn't be no bad, yet there wouldn't be no good. So it's like, I think that's Easy, yes. There's a role of suffering in everyone's lives. You know what I mean? You don't have to embrace, like I said, you don't have to like be all about your poor suffering, but you do need to like accept it and move on and look at suffering in a way of like, okay, how is this changing me? You know, how is this going to help me on the other side? Because like I said earlier, you're going to get through your suffering. I promise. Whoever's watching this, if you're going through some bullshit in your life, you're going to get to the other side of it, whether you think you are or not. And you got to believe that. And then you have to take a step back in the moment while you're in this bullshit and think, how is this suffering going to make me a better person when this is over? And when you look at that and use that perspective on your suffering, it becomes less suffering. It's like, okay, this isn't suffering. This is just required for me to grow as a person. So that sounds good to me. So it's like, when you shift your perspective on suffering, it's almost like you can look at your suffering and make it not suffering because you know that in the end, there's a greater good for it. And I think that's like a good point from like, you hear with like, you know, God and like everything happens for a purpose. So it's like your suffering isn't just happening to happen. There's a reason for it. And it's up to you to find what that reasoning could be. You don't got to be exactly perfectly correct about why the suffering is happening to you, but you can give it purpose. And by giving it purpose, it can make it not seem sufferable to you. So like, for example, I don't know, maybe you're going through like a really bad financial time, right? And you're barely getting by, you're barely making ends meet, you're stressed out all the time, but then you learn to budget your money really good. And you learn, hopefully, how to use your money correctly and how to save a little bit. And now when you look at it, you can use and change the perspective of your suffering and realize you're creating like core principles for yourself through how to budget your money because you're going through this time of suffer with money and not have enough money. So it's like, yeah, this is really shitty. I can't do anything with my money. I'm stressed from paycheck to paycheck. You know, it's hard to think positively in the moment. But then if you take a step back and realize, but I'm really good at saving my money now. Like I know like if you hopefully like through bad times financially, you stick to your principles of like investing your money or saving a little bit here and there and not buying dumb shit. So through suffering, you're gaining core principles that will help you after the suffering is over. Because like after you make, like, let's say you get a job promotion, hell yeah, you start making money. Hopefully, those principles that you learned when you were suffering, you carry on when you're rich. And then you're double rich. And then your kids will have money. And they won't have to stress about nothing. And then their kids will be good. And then boom. All because you learned core principles while you're suffering. In that case, was it even suffering? Not really. It may have felt like it, but in the grand scheme of it, it's not really. It's just you got to grow somehow. You know, like you can even look at a molecular level. You got to break muscle down and repair it for it to grow. You've got to break it down at some point for it to grow back bigger and stronger. So like, yes, to answer the question, what is the role of suffering in life? Just answered. Can it be seen as a necessary part of growth? Can it be seen as a necessary part of growth? And it end there, yes, 100%. So that's my take on that one. I know I got pretty deep on that one, but so that is the 5 questions that ChatGPT gave me. I said, give me 5 deep questions about life to answer. And those are the 5. Would love to hear your thoughts on any of them. Well, ChatGPT, maybe you can watch my video and hear my answers. But if y'all want to see more videos like this, I actually really enjoyed making this. It kind of felt like I'm talking to some buddies about life, and I don't get to do that much around here. So if y'all want to see more of these, I can do more of these life talks, and like I could ask maybe ChatGPT like 5 things about, I don't know, exercise or like maybe more deep stuff like this. Or maybe next time I could do I don't know, 100 questions and give a quick answer for each of them, whatever it may be. Whatever, if y'all want to see more stuff like this, let me know. Cause like, yeah, I like training, filming training, but like, I'd rather not. I'd rather just go in there and focus on my lift and not have to worry about a camera. But like, you do. I get better as I do it, so it's like that's whatever. But if y'all want to see more stuff like this is fun to me. So let me know. Let me know in the comments. Oh my god, my nipple's showing. Sorry. Whatever. But let me know if y'all want to see more stuff like this. That's something that within like fitness and bodybuilding, I hope to one day be able to like kind of tie together for a close knit community of people. It's just like, you know, becoming more psychologically inclined, like as inclined as you are with your body for bodybuilding, and being mentally even more sound. Because like the more mentally sound you are, the more you're going to be able to stick to things in all aspects of life, you know. If your mind is all kinds of sporadic and bullshit, it's going to be hard to like maintain and adhere to things for a long time. Because like I think your mental is everything, you know. Your mental links to consistency and discipline and all that kind of stuff. So it's like if your mind and your mindset and your mentality are not all pretty good in check, there's going to be some kind of something takes a hit. So I think once you get that in check, it ain't got to be pretty, and it got to be perfect, but at least if you have most of that in check, I think a lot of aspects of your life will reflect having those in check. So got a little, what's the word? Pathological? A little, what's the word? I got a little deep on today's video, but that's kind of some things I like talking about is like reasons of life and like happiness and like, you know, all that kind of stuff. So let me know if you want to see more of that kind of stuff. Hopefully the next time you're watching, I don't sound like I've smoked 20 packs of cigarettes for the past 10 years. So let me know what you want to see next. More like this, more training, anything. Let me know what y'all want to see in the next video. Hopefully I get over this sickness quickly. And I love you guys. I hope you enjoyed me talking about life and stuff like that with y'all. And I will see you guys in the next video.